my God, Kanye West didn't just walk into that courtroom, he detonated it. What started as a straightforward testimony in Diddy's explosive legal scandal turned into a full-blown conspiracy meltdown. And baby, it wasn't Diddy who caught the worst of it. No, it was none other than legendary music mogul Clive Davis, who Kanye flat out accused of orchestrating the murder of Whitney Houston. And the room, absolutely frozen in time. Let's back up. The courtroom was already buzzing with paparazzi swarming outside, desperate to capture even a glimpse of Kanye. He arrived in a muted gray suit and his signature sunglasses, surrounded by heavy security. People expected drama, but this was next level. Kanye took the stand with a calm swagger, looking like he had nothing to lose and everything to say. He started off as expected, talking about Diddy, the manipulative parties, and those secretive Hollywood gatherings that seemed more cult than celebration. But then the prosecution casually asked if Kanye believed Diddy had acted alone, and that's when the dam broke. "You want the truth?" Kanye asked, pulling off his shades and locking eyes with the jury. "Then you need to know this ain't just about Diddy. It's bigger, much bigger. This goes back to Whitney Houston. This goes back to Clive Davis." You could hear the oxygen leave the room. The judge, eyes wide, prosecutors, mouths open. Jurors shook. Even Diddy looked stunned. What Kanye said next wasn't just testimony. It was a volcanic eruption of secrets the industry never wanted aired. Kanye pointed across the courtroom. "Y'all keep asking about Diddy like he's the big boss. He's not. He's a puppet. The real puppet master is Clive Davis." The room exploded. Objections flew. But Kanye, he doubled down, his voice booming as he dragged everyone back to 2012 Grammy weekend, the night Whitney Houston died. "You mean to tell me a woman dies upstairs and a party happens downstairs? That's not a tribute. That's a ritual." And just like that, we weren't talking about Diddy anymore. We were spiraling into the shadows of the music industry's dirtiest secrets. The judge motioned security to stand down. "Let him finish," she said. So Kanye did. He painted the music industry as a covert operation, a cartel, a place where gatekeepers determined who rises, who falls, who lives, and who dies. Whitney, according to Kanye, knew too much. She was trying to break out. When you do that, they take you down. The jury was transfixed. Some leaned forward. One woman clutched her armrest like a horror movie was unfolding before her eyes. Kanye had taken what should have been a testimony against Diddy and flipped it into a bombshell indictment of Clive Davis and the entire industry machine. And then, get ready, Kanye connected the dots to himself. "Ever wonder why legends die broke, sick, or alone?" he asked. "Because they were never in control, they were used. And when they stopped playing the game, they were removed." He refused to let them steer him back to Diddy. "Talk about Diddy," Kanye said, "but not until we talk about the man who trained him." He called Clive Davis the architect, the one who taught Diddy everything. This system, this manipulation, this abuse, Diddy didn't invent it, he inherited it. And then came the retelling of that night, February 11th, 2012. Kanye detailed Whitney being found face down in the bathtub, the paramedics arriving too late, the party raging on just one floor below. That wasn't grief, Kanye said. That was arrogance. That was power. That was a message. And baby, he wasn't done. He brought up that viral video, Whitney whispering the word drown to Brandy just 2 days before her death. "You think she didn't know?" Kanye asked. "She was crying out, and no one listened." Even more terrifying, he said Whitney called someone close to her just hours before she died and left a cryptic voicemail. A voicemail that vanished from phone records. "You don't erase calls unless they say something dangerous," Kanye snapped. "Unless they say something you don't want the world to hear." When asked who erased it, Kanye said, "The people Clive works for. The ones who've been playing this game since before most of y'all were born." And now, it wasn't just Whitney. It was Prince. It was Michael Jackson. Kanye said it out loud. They were sacrificed. He stared at the jury and asked, "You think Prince wanted to die in an elevator? Michael in a hospital bed, alone? Come on, wake up, wake up." Whitney, he said, had plans. She was healing. She was writing again, reaching out. She was ready to talk. And then she was gone. Clive, according to Kanye, locked up her catalog, controlled her reputation, and sold her death like a product. Her albums shot up the charts. Clive's empire kept growing. She was worth more dead than alive, Kanye said coldly, and they knew it. Then he said the name no one expected, Bobby Christina. Whitney's daughter, same bathtub, same drugs. You really think that's a coincidence? By now, the courtroom was ice cold, silent. One juror had tears in her eyes. You can call me crazy, Kanye said, but how many coincidences does it take to make a conspiracy? And as he stepped off the stand, it was like the entire room stopped breathing. But just when you thought Kanye had said it all, the man came back. And just when the room had barely begun to process the avalanche Kanye dropped, he returned. Oh yes, honey, Kanye West came back to the stand, this time not as a witness, but as a man on a mission. This time, it was strategic, calculated, unapologetic. He leaned into the mic, looked straight at the jury, and dropped a nuke. Let's be honest, Diddy ain't the one pulling the strings. This goes deeper, way deeper. I'm talking about Clive Davis. Boom. People gasped. Diddy froze. His lawyers panicked. Chaos. The entire room was on the edge of their seats, jaws on the floor. Diddy, who had been nervously shifting in his chair, just sat there stunned, blinking slowly like he couldn't believe what was unfolding. And Kanye, he was just getting warmed up. He launched into a chilling narrative about a dark hidden pipeline in the music industry, a pipeline he claimed Whitney Houston was desperate to escape. She knew, he said. She tried to talk, and y'all know what happened next. And again, Kanye dragged the spotlight back to that fateful night at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. Whitney died face down in a bathtub hours before Clive Davis's party in the same hotel. And y'all really think that's coincidence? He asked. He wasn't done. Oh no, he slammed Clive's infamous pre-Grammy party. That wasn't a tribute, that was a ritual, that was control, that was power, that was sending a message. Even the prosecutors didn't see it coming. They whispered, confused. Defense lawyers objected, begging the judge to please pull this back to Diddy. But the judge, she let him talk. Kanye continued, that party wasn't mourning Whitney, it was mocking her. She died upstairs, and they partied downstairs. That's not shock. That's confidence. That's a message that she was handled. Diddy by now looked white as a ghost, but it wasn't the heat on him that shook him. It was Kanye turning the fire toward Clive. Kanye made it crystal clear. Diddy was the fall guy, the pawn, the enforcer. But the architect, that was Clive Davis. And then Kanye said a name that made the gallery collectively hold its breath, Fahim Muhammad. Oh yes, the same Fahim who once ran security for Michael Jackson, the same Fahim now tangled in lawsuits connected to Diddy. Kanye said what everyone was scared to say. Fahim's not just security. He's a handler, the glue that keeps the secrets locked up. Then Kanye gave the jury a sledgehammer to the heart. I heard Michael's last phone call, and he wasn't afraid of Dr. Murray. He wasn't scared of Sony. He said it clear. They're coming for me. Clive is coming for me. The courtroom gasped so loud it was almost a scream. And right then and there, prosecutors pulled up a clip from years ago, Kanye in an interview, saying, the same people who took out Michael Jackson are trying to silence me. And suddenly, it all connected. This wasn't a meltdown. This wasn't some crazy Kanye rant. This was a story, a timeline, a chilling breadcrumb trail leading straight into the heart of an industry that celebrates you on stage and destroys you backstage. And the jury, glued. Then came the forensic psychiatrist. Yes, the prosecution brought in a behavioral expert to examine Whitney's final days, and what she said chilled the courtroom to its bones. Whitney was paranoid, terrified, convinced her phone was tapped, said people were watching her. She told close friends they wanted to silence her. And who were they? Well, Whitney wouldn't say, but her eyes did. In a clip played from a 2012 interview, Whitney whispers, they want to silence me. Her voice trembling, her body stiff, her soul already hunted. The infamous Brandy moment played again. Whitney handing a note, saying, drown, again and again. And then Kanye, bold as ever, claimed he knew what was in that note. It said, don't trust Clive, I need help. And then the timeline. February 11th, 2012. Whitney was supposed to perform at Clive's pre-Grammy party. Instead, she was found dead in the tub. Upstairs, chaos. Downstairs, red carpets and champagne. And the worst part? Clive never canceled the party. Not only did it go on, it went on like nothing happened. Celebs took selfies, toasted glasses, danced in gowns, while her body remained upstairs. And the court heard it straight from the mouths of industry insiders testifying anonymously. She wanted out, they said, of the contracts, the deals, the machine. And she told people she was afraid. She said, "They'll do to me what they did to Michael." And then came the bombshell. An ex-employee of Clive Davis took the stand. Her voice cracked, her hands shook, but her words, unforgettable. She claimed she overheard Clive on the phone days before Whitney died, angrily saying, "If she won't play ball, she's a liability. That's not my problem anymore." The courtroom erupted. One juror gasped. Another covered her face. Diddy's lawyer, silent. The judge, pale. And then the video of Chaka Khan rolled, her trembling voice in a 2012 interview saying, "I couldn't go. I couldn't get dressed. It felt wrong." Then came a montage, photos, videos, laughing celebrities, party lights. Meanwhile, upstairs, room 434 guarded. Whitney's lifeless body inside for 11 hours. One hotel staffer testified, "I saw music execs walk out of her room hours before the party started. They didn't look shocked, they looked calm." And then another clip. Clive Davis the next morning, calm, cold. When asked if he thought of canceling the party, he said one word, never. And the courtroom froze. Financial records were next. Whitney's album shot back into the Billboard Top 10 within 24 hours. Sales up over 1,000%. Licensing deals were flipped, royalties exploded, and the main benefactor, Sony Music and Clive Davis. And Kanye's words, suddenly they weren't rants, they were prophecy. You're worth more dead than alive as long as they own your masters. And then came the ritual talk. Images from the party showed red lights, strange symbols, everyone dressed in black. A music industry whistleblower said, "I've been to every Clive party for 15 years. That one, it was different. It felt like a goodbye we weren't supposed to ask about." And now the jury had one question burning in their souls. Was this a tribute or a sacrifice? And finally, when the week wrapped up and the judge called court to a close, guess who came back one more time? Kanye. She allowed him to give a final statement, and he stood tall. "They tried to silence me too," Kanye said. "Michael, Whitney, Prince, they all wanted out, and they got put down." He called the music industry a cartel. He called Clive the puppeteer. Did he? Just the muscle. He didn't throw that party because he wanted to. He did it because he had to. That's what happens when you sign a soul deal with devils. And then he pointed to Fahim Muhammad again. You want to know who the common thread is between Michael and Diddy's scandals? It's him. How does a 20-year-old college grad go from nothing to guarding Michael Jackson, then Diddy? Either he's a genius or he's a ghost handler. Then his final words. "I know y'all want to call me crazy, just like you did to Ye, to Michael, to Whitney, but guess what? I'm still breathing, and I ain't gonna stop talking, because silence is how they win." The gavel fell, the judge adjourned, and the world never the same again. Outside, reporters flooded the hallways, jurors left shaken. Diddy's legal team looked broken. Kanye's words weren't just headlines, they were a movement. The trial of Diddy, it had become something else entirely. It was now a reckoning, a war for truth, power, and survival in the industry that devours its own. And Kanye, he stared straight at the cameras and said the words that echoed across the globe. "You may have taken them, but you won't take me." And the only question left, what if he's telling the truth?